EIDL grant is back, baby, and this week, great news as the EIDL loan was increased. Yes. So the EIDL grant is $5,000 if you're 10 employees or less and had a downturn of your business. How do you get an EIDL grant? In this throwback video, I explain the EIDL grant and more. Enjoy this overnight LA video about the EIDL grant. The EIDL loan program reopens and misinformation flies faster than scars on sale in Washington, D.C. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. We have a overnight, middle of the morning exclusive bombshell because we wanted to jump on this as quickly as possible with the Main Street lending program, which just went live. I mean, really exciting. So we're recording at a time we would never ever record. As always, like and subscribe to this channel and drop your comments below. And please hit that bell at the front of this channel so you get an update on the EIDL loan program as we launch 4 new videos this afternoon, as you know. In a rare situation, we had to jump into the recording, and you see I look as wet as a dog. Because of the Main Street lending program went live from the Federal Reserve moments ago. It's really exciting. You got to apply. I'm going to drop in links above. And so I figured while I'm sitting here, I'm going to also jump into a recording. This is not going to be a long one. I'm not going to be answering your questions about EIDL loan or grant, but I got to respond to some really, really bad misinformation out there. You know, the character and the nature of this channel is not to call out anyone, to refer to anyone by name, or to do anything shady. But Javita is an exception. But this is not about Javita. There are channels out there that are casting really bad false information. We implore you, this channel implores you, when you're doing the EIDL loan or grant and you are either an OG, you applied in March or April, or you're a new applicant in the month of June or May, please only view this channel. There is some really bad information out there. What happened last night was a viewer of this channel, who's a very, very, just a wonderful person, sent me a link to someone's EIDL video. And that person, I started to watch, and I really don't care to hear what other people say, generally. But then I started to boil because there was so much misinformation in there. And it really defeated the entire purpose of the EIDL, telling that person's viewership to do all these things, and it's just really bad. So let me respond to that misinformation to make sure you're on page with the correct information. The EIDL loan and grant, as you know, can be applied for by a sole practitioner, an independent contractor. That other channel referred to independent contractors as people who have W-2s but also have a side gig as well. Oh, be very careful. The portrayal of that other channel was basically saying that, hey, if you're a Macy's employee but cut people's hair on the side for $100 here and there, go get yourself a $1,000 check. That is not the EIDL loan program. And the person went on to say that if you have a side hustle, to use that person's direct words, even though you are a W-2 employee and that the vast majority of your tax return is a W-2, well, actually, the entire substance of your 2019 tax return is a W-2 situation, that you have a side hustle for a few hours here and there, go get yourself $1,000. Absolutely, categorically untrue and incorrect information. Next, the person said that if you're an independent contractor and you work your independent contractor business with your wife, that's 2 employees, put down 2, you get $2,000. Also, very incorrect. It was after a certain point that I just had to press stop. There was so much wrong information, but let me back up. First, independent contractor means one person. I don't know what type of language this person is speaking, but independent contractor, a sole proprietor, is one person. It is not you and your wife. There is no such independent contractor as you and and a group of samba dancers. Independent contractor is one person. So if you're doing an independent contractor application for the EIDL loan and grant, it's one. There's no such thing as an independent contractor that can put 2 or 3 on the form. If you think you're going to apply for the EIDL loan and grant and put down independent contractor and put down a number of employees at 10, the SBA is going to laugh you to the curb. There is no such thing as an independent contractor who has 10 employees. Independent contractor means you're independent. That's the new English, if you don't know. So yes, if you're an independent contractor, it is only you and it's only one employee. There's no you and your wife. Now, your wife may be an independent contractor for her independent contractor business, but she's not an independent contractor with you. Goodness. Second, that other channel was talking about if you have a side gig in addition to your W-2 live, go and get yourself $1,000. Well, let's be clear here. There's a difference between independent contractor business and a side gig. If you do babysitting for a few hours a week, a few hours a day once in a while, and you pulled in 2019, $250 for babysitting, but you really work at Macy's where you make $45,000 a year and you have a W-2. If you go and apply for an EIDL grant for $1,000, shame on you. That is not an independent contractor. That's a side gig, does not qualify you as an independent contractor. Now, let's be clear, and this is again the new English. Side gig means you really have a gig. Doesn't mean it's like a little thing that you mess around with on the side when you feel in the mood to do it. Uber and Lyft drivers, side gig. Yes, that is clearly a gig if you are driving every single week. But if you are an Uber Lyft driver and you drove 4 hours in the year 2019, you're not supposed to be getting a $1,000 grant. If you're an employee at Neiman, if you were an employee at Neiman Marcus, which is now bankrupt, and you got a W-2, but you also painted a few friends' house on the side last year, and you made about $800 last year, you are not entitled to an EIDL grant. That is a side gig. That is not a real business. Independent contractor is really supposed to be an independent contractor. It's supposed to be people who are PUA people, who have a independent contractor existence. I got to tell you, SBA is going to catch people that applied from that channel and is really going to rip them apart. I hope they do, and I hope I'm there to see Javita on time and not Javita late, because a side gig has to be a real gig. It's not a mechanism for the following. That channel also called it $1,000 stimulus check or something like that. It is not a stimulus check. It is not a stimulus check. It is a grant advance on a loan and in that situation, we're talking about an independent contractor. So what type of independent contractors do apply? And we've done videos on this, and I'm going to continue to do videos on this. These are people who who normally do a 2019, 2018, and will be doing a 2000 and maybe a 2017 tax return, in which they have a Schedule C, and the Schedule C says that they are a sole proprietor tax preparer or tax accountant, or or an Uber Lyft driver, or a makeup artist, or a production assistant, and you go to that 2019 return or 2018 return, and you don't see 10 cents there. You actually see existence of a business. That is what an independent contractor is supposed to be. It's supposed to be independently. It's supposed to be a business. It's not supposed to be something that you just mess around with on the side and you happen to do a few gigs here and there. Let's be clear as well. It's an independent contractor. It's not a gig business. So, those of you who may have done a few things here and there and made a few $100s last year, you aren't entitled to an EIDL grant. You have to have an actual operational situation. So some people think that this is a free handout for $1,000 stimulus check, as that channel horribly called it. It is not. It actually has to be a business. Now, finally, a lot of you are starting to ask questions. I'm going to answer them in today's EIDL loan and grant question videos as well. You're asking about, do you have to have a business account as a sole proprietor to apply? No. You need to have a Social Security number, which you have. You have to have 2019 earnings, 2019 cost of goods sold, 2019 cost of services, and you have to have that information. And if you do, then you will get paid $1,000 per employee. Finally, we really don't know, but I'm going to roll my dice and guess. We don't know if you're going to inherently get the $1,000 grant right off the bat in advance of the loan, or whether they're going to put you through that whole loan process and give you the grant thereafter. So some of those people from that other channel that are coming over and just think it's free money, don't do anything, give me a check for $1,000. LALATE may say, hey, you have to go through our loan processing program that LALATE has detailed for 3 months. And until you go through that whole loan processing program, until you're denied or approved, then you'll get the $1,000 grant. We just really don't know that. There is going to be a lot of crazy misinformation out there. The other side thing that I want to add, which is really good news, is that we now know what SBA is doing for those of you who applied for a SBA agricultural EIDL advance and loan in May or June by accident. Literally overnight, they started sending emails to those viewers of this channel who by accident came and found us from another channel. You know who it is. And were told to apply for an EIDL application when it was only agricultural. And they're now saying, good, don't worry, we are going to process you now with the rest of the group and get ready. So if you applied for the EIDL grant or loan as an agricultural business by accident in the month of May or June and you're not agricultural, you do not need to reapply. It's being processed accordingly. You're going to get an email within the next 24 hours. Later today comes 4 videos on our EIDL grant and loan as usual. They will be more comprehensive, going all over your questions. This was a quick recording. As always, stay with LALATE for more.